I had this really awkward experience yesterday. I was at one of my favorite places in Oakland where we live, Mariposa Bakery, gluten-free bakery. I go there all the time. And of course, I'm wearing my mask as we do, and the person behind the counter is wearing her mask as she does every day. And I said, "I'd like a bear claw, please." And she said, "Sorry, can you repeat that?" And I said, "I'd like a bear claw, please." And I could see her eyes above her mask starting to slightly panic as she realized she had to ask me again what I'd said. And she did ask me again. And then I said, "I'd like a bear claw, please," really loudly and in a somewhat exaggerated accent. And she said, "Oh, a bear claw, okay." But she was at this point really quite nervous, and I was feeling so awkward. And I said, "Sorry, it's my accent. It's not your fault." But the problem with the mask was I don't think she could even hear that I had an accent. And so she didn't know how to contextualize me. And this often happens in, say, coffee places where I've come to realize I have to say, "Could I have some..." Wait a minute, I almost said it wrong. Normally I would say, "Could I have some water, please?" But that just, again, I'm asked 2 times to repeat myself. So I finally go, "Could I have some water, please?" So I was also talking this weekend about accents with a colleague who's also a voice professional in the UK. And we were really aligned in having had this experience of working with people on changing their accent and seeing the pain that people go through when they're trying to completely transform their accent. And for both of us, it really brought forth a strong belief that it is better for people to learn to modify or clarify their accents in certain settings and to absolutely stay true to the accent that they use with friends and family and their community of origin when they're with those people. So I raised the idea of code switching, which is a term that's in a lot of use where I live, but it's not a term used everywhere. And what it really points to is choosing to change how you speak, whether dialect, slang, when you're in settings outside of your comfort zone, outside of your community of origin. And you might do this when you are feeling other in some ways in the arena in which you're communicating. So you might be doing this because of race, you might be doing it because of culture, language, all of the above. And I think it's really about you feeling comfortable, because I felt very uncomfortable in that situation. And as it happened, the person opposite me also felt uncomfortable asking me to repeat myself. I think that we can create authentic personas in different environments that we're in that feel most comfortable to us, while still staying true to who we are. So when I work with accent with people, I might encourage them to slow down and elongate the vowels that they have. And those vowels might be very central to their accent, so they're not changing the vowels. My son, who is Latinx, grown up in East Oakland, and then obviously he's my child as well, so he has an English background too, grew up with 2 parents who have different accents from each other and different accents than the environment they're in. And then he was in a community of kids whose parents were mostly Spanish speaking at home. And so he code switches all the time. I hear him speak one way with friends from high school, another way with the international students at college for whom English is not a first language. Then he will play around a lot with language at home, and he'll come out in the morning and go, "All right, bruv," because he's following English YouTubers and that's part of his cultural heritage as well. And then sometimes he will also speak Spanish when he needs to. So these are things that can become very liberating and freeing, or they can feel oppressive. And it depends how we work with them and how we hold them. I'd love to hear your comments on your own experience with this. I meet and work with people who have many different accents, cultures of origin. What's been your experience? And how do you feel about switching how you speak in different environments? Here's to unlocking your performance power.